Recording in progress.
All right. And that is it. We're online. We have our agenda. If I could please have a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion, additions, corrections to the agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Before we go any further, since I skipped it in introductions, it's my pleasure to welcome Miss McKenna Stelmo, our new deputy clerk. Hi. Working under the tutelage of Sandy. And so welcome, McKenna.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to tell us tonight?
Nothing.
Okay.
I'm personally really glad, I'm really glad to see you here helping Sandy. She's been under a lot, and it's good to have you on board.
Yeah, we had a $6,000 day in DOL today.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's-
Oh, boating probably.
I was part of that.
But anyway, welcome McKenna, and we're glad to have you on board. So we'll move on to the minutes. And tonight is the last night, I believe, that we will be reading the minutes into the record. And Sandy's had a very long day, and I have agreed to read these minutes in. So from now on, our minutes will be posted on our website, which is going to go live next week. And copies will be distributed to the council members in advance of the meeting. So we'll hopefully shorten up the meeting just a little bit, make that a little more streamlined, and they will be available to the public. So council minutes for June 17th, 2026. Mayor Nutt called the regular meeting of the Ione Town Council to order at 6:32 p.m. with the following council members present: Mr. Sturba, Ms. Sturba, and Mr. Timrick. And staff present was Sandy Hutchison. I believe Roger Rice was also present, correct?
Yes.
And Roger Rice. The Pledge of Allegiance, and then Mayor Nutt opened the meeting with welcome and introductions, confirmed a quorum of the council was present. A motion was made by Mr. Timrick, seconded by Mr. Sturba to approve the agenda. Motion carried. The June 3rd, 2026 council meetings were read. A motion to approve the minutes with a change to the airport closure date made by Mr. Sturba, seconded by Paula Sturba. Motion carried. The first public comment period opened at 6:40. Anita Green expressed her safety concern for the corner of Main Street and First Avenue. Vehicles are not stopping and others are cutting the corner. She suggested a blinking stop sign or a four-way stop at that corner. Mr. Sturba will research this request, and Ms. Sturba stated a blinking sign does not meet the Ione Development Code. The first public comment period closed at 6:48. Motion was made by Paul Sturba, seconded by Mr. Timrick to approve accounts payable, checks number 255591 through 25600 in the amount of $19,601.84, and the motion carried. Under old business, Mayor Nutt distributed 3 draft ordinances and an information sheet on water accounts and discussed the importance of maintaining the healthy balance in the capital improvement and debt reserve funds. Paul Sturba thought the current bulk water procedure should be changed to prevent fraud. Council to discuss at the July 1st council meeting. If a decision can be made, a public hearing will be scheduled to share new rates and ask for public comment. Under new business, Mayor Nutt shared that Ken Weiss resigned effective June 15, 2026, and the town is seeking a new council member. Mayor Nutt also shared that Ms. McKenna Spelmo accepted our offer of employment with a June 22nd start date. Her background includes office management, a certificate in behavioral health, and strong communication skills. McKenna will work full-time training on vehicle licensing and with Sandy on the clerk treasurer responsibilities. Sandy will return to part-time in August, but remain the clerk treasurer. A motion to approve the salary letter with these adjustments was made by Mr. Sturba, seconded by Ms. Sturba, and the motion carried. Under administrative reports, Ms. Hutchison distributed financial statements, and Mayor Nutt shared that we have an increase in account balance of $49,881 from the previous month. On the Public Works report, Mr. Roger Rice stated the lagoon intake lagoon intake modification was completed, an inspection completed. There was a water leak on the Vaughan property and the town water line that was repaired. Cleanup of trees that were damaged during the storm continues around town. And the Baptist Church, they presented on the volunteering to do projects, and Mr. Rice stated that they were going to be detailed to help paint the park restrooms. Mayor Nutt had received a complaint about mosquitoes at the excess disposal property. The owner of the property had contacted the skeeter beaters. A recommendation was to cut the grass to eliminate the breeding environment. Excess disposal was contacted and the grass was cut. Under council reports, Mr. Sturba stated that a public meeting will be held at the July 1st meeting for the STIP report. Ms. Paula Sturba stated that she wanted the minutes to reflect her position that the May 7th council meeting minutes regarding the conservation fee are in error, and the motion did not say it would expire in 2025. Ms. Sturba submitted several options last year, and these are not included. Mayor Nutt stated that the draft ordinances are not an end-all. The draft ordinances are a suggestion for planned discussion. After discussion, the council thought the drafts were a good start and represented the community well. Mr. Timrick shared that the Chippewa Water and Sewer District made a counteroffer on the sewer contract. The sewer rates increased from $27 to $42.90. They offered an $8.50 increase to increase their rate to $35.50. They also want to share in grant funding. And during the meeting, Mayor Nutt had discussed with them that operating off the ordinance would likely include a yearly escalator to the rate. If grant sharing were possible, they would be required to complete an income survey, as we are required to do. Mr. Timrick explained his logic on the tiered water rates. Mayor Nutt thanked Ken Weiss for his service. Mayor Nutt stated the airport construction started on schedule with the East Gate. An owner of a sailplane also called explaining that he's unable to land at our airport. The web design should be ready any day, and working with Roger on the highway sign. The second public comment period opened at 8:08. Anita Green asked about PUD tree cutting and trees for the sidewalk project. The PUD is clearing power lines, and the sidewalk contractor will remove trees as needed. The second public comment period closed at 8:13, and a motion to adjourn was made by Paula Sturba, seconded by Joe Sturba, and without any objection, the motion to adjourn was approved by unanimous consent at 8:15 p.m. Are there any corrections, additions, edits? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, an edit. I was just wondering because I did make it pre-known that I was gonna be gone at the last council, that if that was an excused.
Of course.
I don't know how the rules work, something about 3 and you're out or something. That's when I wanted to sign.
You're not
I'll
going
just
anywhere,
speak on
Cindy.
3 times.
We're keeping you.
Thank you.
That is, yeah, appreciate your call, and I hope everything worked out with your
It was just a blast.
daughter-in-law.
Oh, yeah, that seemed to work out. That's good. Thank you.
Anything else on the minutes? The minutes will stand as read. And again, looking forward to a little more streamlined process next time. So at this time, we'll open the first public comment period. If you're on the list as a guest presenter, which Carol, you're on the list, but is there anybody else that have public comments they want to state at this time? Ms. Green?
How do you go about, as the town rules, how do you go about amending one?
Amending an ordinance?
Yeah, I guess it would be an ordinance. How would you go about, what is the process to change an ordinance?
Well, typically, if you have a suggestion to change an ordinance, you could bring it to any one of the council members, or you could bring it directly to me, or bring it into Sandy
Can I
and
bring it
she'll
now?
direct it.
Can I present my idea now?
As long as you're brief,
I am brief.
okay?
I understand that we can have, within the city limits, we can have up to 6 chickens, no roosters. It's an excellent number, an excellent ordinance. Goats, on the other hand, are not allowed in the city limits. And I would like to present a proposal, I guess, to allow up to 2 altered goats. Reason being, they're excellent at helping keep your yard rubbish, your weeds, your branches. That's what they eat, that's what they live on, and I would really like to be able to have the option, if I so chose to be able to have a goat to take care of my hillside, because it's not manageable on foot for a human. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Does the council have any questions or comments at this time?
Well, do goats stink?
Oh, not if you only have a couple. If you had a herd of them and you had birthing ones, yes. But they're nothing like a horse. I mean, Medellin calls both allow.
Process.
They allow hoofed animals?
They allow,
within
yes,
city
they
limits?
allow goats.
I think we'd have to pull the ordinance. and
Yeah,
take a look
because,
at it and
and,
discuss
and,
it.
and well, and look at it, because a lot
Get
of
some
towns
information on
don't allow hoofed animals. They will allow chickens, but they don't allow hoofed animals,
Yeah, because
and
there's
I
just cows
honestly
and
don't
horses.
know why.
Oh, yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't know.
And goats are more of a
Kathy's
pet
in here about it.
than livestock.
Pigs?
Yeah, we'd have to check into that. I honestly don't know.
Maybe another alternative might be a variance to allow her to have 2 goats. That allows you, she'd have to approach you every year, asking for that variance.
Oh, that
But
would be great.
rather than changing the ordinance itself or creating a citywide run on goats,
Thank you.
you could still accommodate somebody, and then by giving them the year, if you get complaints from neighbors or whatever, you could modify that after the first, however long.
Mom and inherits the goats.
Yeah.
So I think what we'll do is the mayor will take that for action to pull that ordinance out, and we'll confer with our council members and
Well, I
staff and
appreciate your
figure it out.
consideration. Thank
Yeah.
you.
We'll see what the best way to go is.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Then we'll close the public comment period at this time. And public comment period. And I'd ask the council for a motion to approve payroll in the amount of $15,788.99.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then I would ask council for a motion to approve our accounts payable and bills in the amount of $8,636.33.
I make a motion. I'll second then.
So Ken and Paula?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're gonna have a public hearing in 6 minutes, so we'll keep plowing ahead here and see what we can get done. So we'll start next with our guest presenters. Sheriff Blakesley is not here, apparently. Chief McCann.
So for the month of June, the town of Ione had a total of 35 calls, 19 EMS, 14 IFTs, and 2 others. That is considerably more than last year. You only had 9 calls, 6 EMS and 3 fire. Fire District 2 as a whole had a very slow month, 164 calls for service, 150 EMS, 6 fire, 5 motor vehicle collisions, and 3 others. Other than that, we've had a successful Bigfoot Festival, the Newport Rodeo we had a chance to be part of down there. This weekend we'll be up in Medellin with our ladder truck and the flag for the 4th of July celebration. And then we intend to be back down here for Downriver Days. So, any questions from you? Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief. And Ms. Richards.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for squeezing me in tonight on the agenda. I'm Carol Richardson with the County Public Works Department, and I'm here tonight to give a plug for our Solid Waste Advisory Committee. This is a committee that state law requires the county to have. We don't have an active one right now, and so we're looking for volunteers. It's not a big time commitment, it's twice a year, and our meetings are usually in the afternoon in the spring and fall, and we can also do by Zoom, so if you can't come down to Newport for them, you can join us by Zoom. So we're looking for people who are just interested in doing a little civic service and advising the Board of Commissioners on policies and things related to solid waste in the county. So if you know of anybody, or if any of you might be willing to serve, there's a little application attached to the back of the flyer there. And, give us some consideration, and the extras, if maybe Sandy wouldn't mind having them or passing them out to anybody who might be interested, that would be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you.
Yeah. And did I have it wrong? Is it Richardson?
It's Richardson, yes.
Richardson, okay.
No, that's my fault, sorry about that.
No, no. That's all the time.
Thank you very much. And we will we're going to take a brief recess, 2.5 minutes here, and then we're going to open the public hearing. So our meeting is in recess. for the moment. So if anybody needs to use the facilities or anything, come over.
Now's your chance. What's that? Now's your chance.
Oh,
I'm good for right now. I'll wait till I'm in the middle of something,
Oh, okay.
then I'll have to go.
and Joe, my plan was to open the public hearing and turn it over to you.
That'd be
Is
fine.
that fine?
Yep, that'd be fine. I'm gonna have a lot of reinforcement.
Thank you for coming.
Sandy, but
We
yeah,
appreciate you coming.
I've got to pretty much stand with here, because it's, yeah. I handed out some of the same stuff. This is what I handed out to him, Dan, as far as this is what is our 6-year plan, and this is what it's associated with. Okay, just so they get an idea where they're concerned and where everything is, okay?
I was gonna take a trip and I was gonna leave, and then that one said, no, this weekend's 4th of July. I said, I'm not traveling on the 4th of July.
No, I didn't.
So, no, we're not going yet. I forgot all about that. Oops.
Yeah, I didn't even know, my kids were like, you know, come up and visit us, and I said, I don't know, it's a couple of weeks away, I'm not worried about it, and they're like, it's just, I said, the Fourth is already coming up, this one won't just be by me. Totally be by me. So, don't hurt the speech. Don't play with us, but my cups of weekends.
Oh, maybe that's.
It's in there.
TikTok,
Just
TikTok,
enjoy.
TikTok.
Waiting for water to boil, right?
Okay, well, our meeting is now back in order, and we are also, at this time, it's 7 PM, and we're calling to order a public hearing for our 6-year street plan. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Sturba to present the plan. Okay, Joe?
Thank you. This 6-year transportation improvement program is put out by the state. But first, I'd like to say thank you, Sandy, for doing a lot of this legwork on this, because this was done between the two of us, but you had your past knowledge that really helped, so I thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And so, you know, you have a copy there, but what this 6-year transportation improvement program is from the state, and in order for us to get any funding down the road, let's say we want to have some, for instance, this ICC building, we'd like to get an handicap accessibility put in. And in order for us to do that, and we get, you know, for us to put in for a grant from the state, we have to have this in place, otherwise they won't even look at it. So these 9 items are basically things that we'd like to have done with the town. There are some priorities to it. For instance, line 1 is talking about First Avenue, Blackwell, and to Houghton. That was in progress right now. So that one basically is not something we're gonna be shooting for, but some of these other ones, they're not, I don't think they're really as high priority, but they do need to be done. So I have number 2 is Blackwell and Central. You know, that's an area that ties in there, but I mean, I'd like to see the Main Street going into the park as a priority. So, you know, there's a couple of them that are priorities, and some of them just been carried over for the years past. And they're important, but they're not, I think, top priority. So if you look at this, there's only a couple things, and that would be the flooding and smack out, ADA, sidewalks, item number 3 that was added, but all the other ones are just transferred through. So there's not really a lot of questions. One of the points that I would try to bring out is that if we're gonna add any sidewalks to any streets on here that do not have sidewalks, we have to look at wastewater that's created by, no, excuse me, I'm sorry, but water runoff that we'd have to worry about tunneling it, piping it. So we do have storm drains already, but we would have to tie those in to that storm drain for the project to continue. So that is one of the things that sidewalks, we like them, they're nice, but on the main streets, I'd like to keep those there, especially like the one going into the park. I'd like to be able to try to push forward on that one. But though, like the Railroad Avenue that we have right here at the bank there, that's been put up for grants and been rejected a couple of times as far as I'm aware of. So that it's still there, but it's one of those things that if they gave us the money to do it, or gave us a grant money to do it, then I would definitely take their grant money, but I don't foresee it being anything that we get a grant for. But this, the one I would like to see is the townwide, this address the speed, that's number 3 again, is add sidewalks, ADA ramps, flooding and smack out, because we have a flooding problem at our house, and I'd like to see that one completed, but.
Well, it affects several people at that corner.
Yeah, that's Marvel, there's a couple, but there again, we have to put a storm drain in there to bring it into the city, the existing town storm drain, which means going underneath the railroad, or putting some kind of a pond in between the west side of the track and basically 7th Avenue there. So, you know, that's one of the hiccups on that. It's not an easy solution. So some of these, without grant money, we wouldn't be able to do any of these. Like this sidewalk project that's going to take place on First Avenue, it basically, we wouldn't be able to do that on our funding. So that's what this program's for. So
what were you saying about the area like where Marvel Smith is? Because that floods, that is horrible.
this, yeah, we have right in here on number 3, flooding and smack out. That's the area that that's pointing at, is because of the fact that we need to have funding to, the idea is to come in and put some kind of a storm drain in there where it all puddles to our side right there, and it gets high enough that it floods over to Marvel, get a storm drain in there, and then push it somewhere. And that somewhere is the problem, because we either need a pond or a pipe that will go underneath the railroad to get to a storm drain on Main Street.
Okay.
And all it
So,
has to do with how the roads are all paved.
yeah.
All the water comes off of 8th Avenue and runs down that. Water comes down off of Smack Out into that area.
System comes down to you guys.
So that's what this, I don't know if we have any questions on this that I can answer on anything. Yes, Anita.
What is the need for I have concerns about the sidewalks going down to the park,
Okay.
Main Street and First to the park. Because the main thing that you hit on is the runoff. You got all the snow, because the snow gets piled right there at the stop sign going east, the east side. So right at the top of the hill is where the snow plows plow all the snow. So you've got all that runoff, as well as just our rain runoff.
Right.
Right now, at least it's got somewhere to go into the ground. If we put more concrete down, it's not gonna, you are gonna be in a situation of having to
Well, like I was saying before,
put
that
drains.
anytime you put a sidewalk in any of this here, you have to address the storm drain, the runoff. And in that, the park there, it would be a prime one, it would be included in the grant money to provide some kind of place for that waste, or that stormwater to go to, or collect to, or, that would be up to the engineers.
Flooding out Wilson down at the bottom.
The only reason I brought that up was because of the fact that I'd like to see that, because we have downriver days, and there's a lot of traffic that goes down there during those events, and it would be nice, the first street's gonna be done, it'd be nice if that thing wrapped around and went down, that would be nice, but we would have to address it, it'd have to have a nice crown to it, and one way or the other, it might be easier to direct it on the north end of the street, and then have some kind of collection pool there, like a dry well, or, French drain, or something like that, but
Right, 'cause
that
you
would
have
be
another-
that would be the
As you know, you
architect's.
have another residence down
Right,
there, and
Right.
I would be concerned of how much is gonna.
and that, like I
infiltrate
said, and that's all these projects that we're having, we're gonna have, that subject has to be worked
Well, on
out
the south
with the
side-
architect.
On the south side, it would kind of be a little less worrisome with the runoff, because then it would be running off into a grassy area
Yeah.
of the park.
That would be an engineer-architect decision, we'd just tell them that we don't want the water, then they would know that. They would know that right off the bat, that something has to be
Okay,
addressed.
I'm just throwing ideas.
Yeah, no,
Thank you for,
Yeah,
I would
thank
like to throw out there as far as sidewalks going down to the park. I think that would be great, because like events down there, people are walking in the streets, kids are walking. If you have sidewalks on both sides, you can at least have safety for the public.
and that was one of the things I wanted to put in, if this ever comes about, would be that sidewalk having a rail that people could use to go up and down with, especially when you get geriatric age, like myself.
That's most of us.
So really, there's not been a lot of changes done to this over the years. A few things have been added, so as Sandy and I were talking about before, is that we had to have this completed today as far as the hearing goes. So after this has been reinstated with the state, then it'll give us a chance to go through and change what we want, or add what we want, or take off what we want. So that's about it. Thank you.
thank you.
Any other comments from the public? Any other comments from council? We'll call the public hearing closed at, looks like 7:10, Sandy. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome. And this is, Sandy, it's gonna be resubmitted as this form, correct? Am I understanding that right? Okay, thank you.
All right, so we're out of the public hearing, we're back into our regular meeting. And the next item is under old business. Draft ordinances and the water conservation fee. And so, wait a second, this,
Yeah,
that'll be under new business.
that's the resolution to approve what Joe just said.
Okay, that'll be under new business, so, STIP. So, under old business, the draft ordinances for the water rates and the discussion about the water conservation fee. At the last meeting, there were the options, what was it, A, B, and C, that were provided to the council. And I believe the discussion at that time was that we wanted to address this before the July 5th, so that we could make a decision by the July 15th meeting, and also, or address it so that we could make a decision about how we wanted to proceed, so we could hold a public hearing on the ordinance at the July 15th meeting. and take action accordingly with the July 16th billing period. So at this time, I will open it up. And Ken, you want to catch us up to where we're at, or?
Okay, well, I'll tell you, and I went back and I looked at when I said last meeting that it was $58,000 in those 3 months that we didn't bring in. I didn't take into account Chippewa and the waste treatment plant. So I redid it with those, and it dropped it down to only $46,000 that we didn't bring in by not charging for the conservation fee. So, and that's not year round, that was just over 3 months in the summer, the 3 busiest months. But everybody was before, when I was gone up here, they were looking at raising the rates. Everybody appeared to agree that the rates needed to go up. Well, if that water was paid for, it wouldn't have to go up. None of the rates would have to go. In fact, they could probably lower a little bit. But, which is what the tier thing, with people that use less than 4,000 should get a break. The other thing is what we're looking at is not paying the conservation fees and raising the rates on the people that use, say, less than 4,000, even less than $8,000, 8 gallons, I mean, it's 8,000 gallons of water. You're saying, well, those people need to pay a little more water so that other people can have water they don't have to pay for. And in my mind, that's not quite right, especially when you've got people looking through, some people use less than 2,000 gallons a month. Why should their rates go up? I just don't see that that's really a fair thing to do. And, yeah, you talk about, well, as Paula was saying last meeting, that, well, you don't have the income you used to have. A lot of people don't have the income that you have to pay for this. Again, let's punish them for not using water. Anyway, we'll go on from there later on. And the size of lots. People have the size of yards they have. It's their choice to have that size of yard. It's not like the town didn't force it on and nobody else forced it on them. If you want to water that size of a lot, in my mind, it's something you have to pay for. And I don't think there's a real big issue about paying for what you get. I don't think there's anything in the town ordinance or anything that says, hey, people deserve something for free. And even if it's paid for by somebody else, you're getting it for free if you're not paying for it. So I think the tiered system, in my mind, is the fairest thing to do, where people that don't use much water don't have to pay as much as people that use more water. And that's what I got to say right now.
Yes, sir.
We did a lot of calculations on the number of meters, how much was over for the whole year of 25 and part of 26, but the whole year of 25, the amount that was lost on overage fees amounts to about $12,529, and that's figuring the overage on each meter at 33 cents a gallon. The town in the full year would have lost $12,529. But you've got to take in consideration that the winter months, those 4 months during the winter, there is no conservation fee. So you take off $2,132 from that. The town lost out on $10,396 in the month of 25.
Year of 25?
What's that?
Year of 25?
Yeah, year of 2025. And in 26, of course, we've only got 5 months, so really the total overage that we would have got for those 5 months would have been $2,450. And, you know, out of those months, they're the winter months, so you take off $1,700 from that. The total that the town would have got and so far this year, with not counting, this is January through May, it doesn't have June in here, is $688. That's what the town is losing by that. There's a couple things that I want to say, you know, this is my calculations, but in the year of 2026, well, 2025, we had basically, or let's go 2026, for those 5 months, there's almost 6 million gallons that are unaccounted for. And we used over, you know, quite a bit, but my biggest thing is, the town is not, in the year 25, we did not lose money on those gallons that were pumped that are extra, just because of the fact we're getting paid for each meter 15,000 gallons per month. And if you take all those totals for that year, add them up, the town is gonna be ahead by basically 3 million gallons. So as far as cost goes, we're making money even with those overages. Now, there's two things that I think that should be considered in this decision-making, is because the first thing is the fire season. You know as well as the firefighters, the best you could have is defensible space around your property. It's not so much to stop the fire at that location, which it does do, but the main thing that we're gonna see here as a firefighter, I can tell you, chances are, it's not gonna be a house catching fire and burning the town down. It's gonna be coming from the hills, like that Cedar Creek fire we had a couple of years ago. If that thing would have broke loose, we had ashes landing on our house. They weren't hot ashes, but if your space that you have is brown, it'll catch, especially if it's extremely dry. So my thinking of it is that we should be able to allow people to keep, because we had last year, we went ahead and lifted it because of the fire season and the ban, but you try to get grass green again if the fire season comes up and you start putting water on it, it's not going to be green that summer enough to make it a defensible space. So I think that should be taken into consideration myself, personally. And I think the other thing I should add to it, going over all these numbers here, there is some people, I should say some meters, that have an extremely high usage. I mean, extremely high every year during the summer and the winter. Those people, I think we should have draft an ordinance that basically if you go over a certain amount, go and talk to those people. Find out if it's basically, is it because they have a broken pipe they don't even know about? I mean, you would think, under logic, if they get a bill for $300 during the winter time for extra water use, something would come on, but this usage is continual. So I think if we look at these accounts individually and address them individually, I think it would stop a lot of this overage that we get, that we pump and we sell, but I'm not sure the county, I haven't checked with Sandy on this, but there's an extraordinary amount of water that is used up per meters, even during the winter time.
Even the winter time.
So, it would, to address each meter, before we start hitting people with an overage charge, even the people, like for instance, the people that we had that had there was no overage charge on their bill, they pretty much water as much as they want. Some of those are extremely high, and we don't know why. I don't know why. I mean, ours is high, very high. And so, but I can tell you exactly why. We keep it green. It's not plush green, it's just green.
And we have 2 city lots.
And we have a garden, we've got flower bed, I mean, just we've got everything. So, you know, what is these people's circumstances? And I think we could, we, as a supplier to these meters, we should be able to ask that question.
Again, as Roger said at that meeting too, he knows have leaks and they don't care.
Well, then,
What are you gonna do? You're gonna tell these people they can't use that much water, but other people can?
no, you just, you address each situation by saying, you're using, let's just grab a figure, 100,000 gallons over this month, you know, and it's been every month for the last 3 months. You've got something going on here. Let's find out what it is. And if they don't like it, we'll shut it down.
So is the problem that we need to have an ordinance to be able to talk to these people and find out?
And Cindy, I
mean, what is
can't,
the problem?
to answer the question, I think it needs to be in addition to our plan that we develop.
Well, we need to come up with a plan, because if they just don't care about it and they've been told you've went over 150,000 gallons this month.
There was one that was 262,000 gallons.
I just don't understand.
And that was in
Yeah, see, those have to
I
be
think that's
addressed.
ignorance, I think that's ignorance on our part.
Well,
I
yeah.
think we need to come up with a solution that
Well,
we can
it's-
confront these
Cindy,
people,
it's just
fix
like-
it, and get it taken care of.
Right, and it's just like the water that we've talked about, we both all agree on, that water, that bulk water that's sold out of that hydrant we should take care of that. I mean, we should, yeah, we've talked about, we all agree with that, but that's another ordinance that should play into.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
That's just a policy thing that has to be done.
Okay,
There's an
okay.
ordinance for that. But
I
yeah,
follow-
but anyway,
okay, yeah, okay.
But that needs to be addressed. I agree.
Yeah, policy.
But my point being with these people that use more water, like Roger said, he's talked to two of them, they know they got a water leak, they don't care. You're gonna go to one person and say, hey, you're using way too much water, we're gonna shut you off, but somebody else is using water, we're not gonna do that? How are you gonna go to one person and say, you can't use that much water? Because you can't go on the property and
Well, I
fix
never
it.
said you can't, I said you basically, you go to that property and find out why there's so much water being
Again,
used.
the two of them, we know why. Roger knows why. He's talked to the people about it. So what are you gonna do about them?
Well, if we had a policy, that we've warned them and give them a time in that policy that says, gives them 30 days to get it fixed. If you don't, we'll shut it down.
But, like I say again, so which people are you gonna do it? And how, you can't go on their property and say, here's your problem.
No, but we could look at our meter.
You can say they're using this much water, but you can say, so you must have a leak. This other person's using that water you don't know, but it's okay for them to use that much, but not you.
I'm saying,
How do you differentiate between which people?
by just going out there and look at the
By how
situation.
much water? Again, if you can't go on their property, you can't go and look and say, here's where your problem is. Now, Roger's talking-
Did I ever say, I didn't
No,
say
no,
that, Ken.
I'm saying, so how can you go and say, this is what your problem is?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, look at the situation and come up with a conclusion that basically, this house, there's no greenhouse, there's no greenery around it. It's a single bedroom house, and, you know, basically, it shouldn't be using 220,000 gallons a month.
Is there an indoor pool?
Again, so you're gonna go and say, tell people, certain people, how much they can use, because based on what their place looks like.
I'm saying that to look and see if there's a problem. And if there's a problem, let's try to fix
But
it.
that's what, if you look at, you're gonna go and look at their place and say, you shouldn't be using this much water.
Well, look at Roger. How did he find that leak?
He went and talked to the people, they let him come on on his property, on their property.
Most people would.
But maybe they don't want you to. Like I said, we can't.
You're
force them
making
to
an
do that.
assumption, Ken, that I don't think is true about the whole Ione population.
I'm not saying it's about everybody, I'm saying, but somebody can say, I know that there's.
Hypothetically, they may not. So
Again,
that holds as much
so-
water as what you're saying.
I'm just saying, so how are you gonna enforce it on somebody
So
that doesn't do?
has a
You have to
letter-
have something that you can enforce on anybody, no matter what they wanna do. You can't just say, well, everybody will go along with this because
All
we
I'm-
want them to.
All I'm saying is that,
Has a letter been sent out to these homes? A letter saying that you're going over.
That's a
water?
start.
That would be the
That is a
first
start.
step.
And again, but what's the letter gonna say? You're going over and they're gonna say, I don't
Yeah, you
care?
gotta start somewhere.
Like I say, because Roger's talked to
They're
them
not
and they don't
hardly
care.
living in the house and it keeps
But-
running water like that.
But I'm just saying, they did that, Roger talked to them, they don't care. You think if you send them a letter saying if you have
You
no,
send a letter and you ask them to come in and talk to you.
They
And
will.
if they don't, then we figure out another
but
solution.
again, what are you gonna?
Well,
what's
I
the-
don't like this
I-
negative.
You need to
I
have a
don't
solution,
either. I don't
you can't go and say, let's have a
There-
solution if you don't have a solution.
There,
There are
you find that
solutions.
there
You
are
gotta work on
solutions.
it, Ken.
We'll come up with one.
You
I
know,
just said write a letter, we
Okay.
haven't even made that
Yeah,
attempt, but
okay.
you're like negative right off the
No, I'm
bat.
just saying, if they already know it's leaking, what's the letter gonna change and go and talk to them?
'Cause
it's
more
the beginning of a
normal.
solution, Ken. It's the beginning of a
You gotta take
solution.
Okay, fine, and that's fine, you can do that, you can write a letter, but that still doesn't change the fact of the water price, that you wanna raise the price of water for people that use very little, so that other people can have water they don't pay for.
Everybody in this town needs to support the water system.
That's right,
Everybody needs to pay.
exactly.
And everybody is paying, everybody is paying. You know, the way this was done, that was one thing that I think people need to understand. We took information meter by meter by meter, month by month by month, name by name by name. We could consistently see when we looked at this that there were people in the summertime as well as the wintertime that had high rates. And it was like, some of these people, you've got to find a solution to help people. You don't just attack them, you help them, you talk to them. And I have to agree with Joe. I don't think there's hardly a person around that if you approach them in a positive manner and say, you know what, it looks like you're using a lot of water. Say somebody's using, 80,000 gallons in the wintertime, and it's a little house that's on Blackwell up here that doesn't even have a yard. Obviously, there's a problem. You know, and if they don't have the money to fix it, that is one thing. But it's our responsibility as a town to try to help with things, to try to figure out a way, maybe find some resources for them to be able to do this. See if maybe you can get somebody to donate some time to go help fix the leak. You know, you can't just cut dry, say, oh, well, they won't talk to us, so we can't fix it. There is a solution. If you approach this in a positive manner, you can get it done. I have no doubt. So this information that was compiled was done very, very meticulously. It was the information that we created. The conservation fees were not supposed to be stopped on any of the commercial businesses. That was supposed to continue. That information is not in there. We did not do any businesses. We did not include wastewater calculations. That stuff is not in there either, because that's not, we looked at residents, purely residents, and the town is ahead by how many million gallons that people have already paid for collectively. Overall, everybody has paid. The town is ahead. What was the number there, Joe?
5,939,000.
Of water that had been paid for that the town did not have to pump. So the town is ahead of the game. And I don't care if I was a person that only used 2,000 gallons of water a month. I still think that it's my responsibility to be a part of the infrastructure of the town. And it's like you start doing this tier thing, it's like, so you're only gonna charge them, what was it, Ken? What's that thing here? I had it here. Say somebody only uses 0 to 4,000, they're only gonna have to pay $20 a month, or $20 a month.
Something that came up last time.
This is Ken's idea.
Plus their $30.
Plus the $30 for the maintenance fee, for basically meter charge. Yeah, again, why should people have to pay for water that they don't use so that other people can have water they don't pay for?
I agree.
Basically, what I saw, Ken, I saw people in the town of Ione that watered their place that they have not done since 2011. And we are not low on water. We are not low on water.
I never said we're low on water.
And the thing is that I don't see one reason why we can't do something for our residents when the town of Ione is ahead of the game. Based off of what those numbers are, we could drop our rates. No. We're making money. So collectively, let people take care of their places. Do that one thing for our residents in Ione. I mean, everybody is being overtaxed. I mean, there are so many things that's happening to them. Why can't the town, when we're making money, why can't the town do this for everybody? No, maybe we have a big yard. You have a big yard. You choose not to water, we choose to water.
My lawn is green and I don't overwater. I don't water it hardly at all. Mine
I'm not
stays
even gonna
green
go
all
there.
year long.
I'm not even gonna go there.
The other thing I wanted just to add real quick is basically that the whole structure, I think the whole water ordinance, or the whole water in general, needs to be restructured in this, my personal opinion, restructured in the fact that we should look at more of how much water we flush, how much water the fire departments use, even a ballpark number. We don't even have that.
We didn't even include the fire department in this.
We have basically more water, well, they're almost as much water as we pump, we don't have accountable for. So now, where's that free water going?
Again,
To leaks, to flushing?
I can't tell you what that is. All I can tell you is what this is and what people are paying for, and that the consensus of the council before I got back on here was that the rate had to go up. And you got people, again, as I say, you want people to have to pay for water, more for water that they don't use, so people don't have to pay for water that they do use. It's very simple. It's just like if you go.
It's not simple.
Go anywhere.
Simple.
Actually, that is very simple. You pay for what you use. If you go to the gas station, you don't get to fill up and say, well, I only want to pay this much and I want to get more gas.
You can't compare water to
Yeah,
gas.
well, you can, because the water system is a business. It's separate from the town.
And we're making money,
It's,
and we're making money.
Actually, we're just breaking even.
yeah, we're not making
We're
money.
not,
When
we're
you
not,
look at the numbers, when you look at the gallons that are used and the gallons that are
Look at-
pumped, and you look at the difference, it's calculated there.
well, I'm just talking about looking at the bottom line revenues and looking at what's been put into the, into the capital fund, and like I say, I would say if we don't wanna make an increase, we don't need to make an actual increase in the rate, but we're gonna just continue paddling, and, we will be able to put that, $10,000, $12,000 a year into the capital fund, but that's a little bit different than what was talked about with that proposal that was put out last year. So the other thing I'd like to mention on the flushing, and I've had to do a little bit of learning on this, is that yes, the plant uses a lot of water for flushing. The reason it uses a lot of water for flushing is because the water that we get from our wells is very dirty. And our filtration system, we have 3 big vessels up there with gravel and sand filters, and the way that system works is when those vessels get full of gook, then it switches to another vessel and it back flushes the one that got filled up, and it uses a lot of water. There are other systems that you can have that don't do that. Ours doesn't do that.
Makes sense.
That's the system we have. So I would say that. Cindy?
Before I can really decide, because I've been here just a few months, a little bit longer than you two, but you've been in the audience. But these guys presented everything black and white to me. What you guys are saying, I have nothing in front of me. And I want to see the facts, what you're talking about. I want to see exactly, you can't just throw numbers out at me. I want to see.
Well, I brought them last one, but you weren't here. I'm not complaining.
None of us were
They
showing
weren't
numbers.
correct, Ken.
I
You
want to see.
admitted that.
I don't want to
tried
see
it. It
that.
went down from
That's a
58 to
solution.
46.
A kind of solutions for everybody. But I want to see, like at the beginning of this, you were throwing out gallons and uses and what they were for. Can I see that in black and white where you're getting your numbers?
Yes, I got it all right from the office, right from Sandy.
So can we get copies of all that so we can figure out maybe more of a solution?
Well, what I can tell you is that, like statistics, numbers can be looked at in a lot of different ways. So we have all of our water files have a report for each month that show,
And that's what that's
you
based
know,
off
what the
of.
water amount was used, how much was pumped.
What it's based
But it
off.
also has to be interpreted, because some of the numbers include Flushing, some don't. Some include Chippewa, some don't. Some include Muddy Creek, some don't.
On that,
I'm just saying, I'm more the.
on that point,
Sure.
since,
We can show
so,
you what we
so
did. It
on that
doesn't
point,
have
since you
it
brought
does
that
not have
point
water
up,
flushing. It does
Dan,
not have
the way
businesses.
that I found these numbers was I
That-
took the
That
month,
is simply residents.
the total month that
Simple
was,
residents, yeah.
what was it
And that is off
called?
of
I'm
every
sorry.
report.
The payable amount of water,
I have all the
and
24s,
deducted
all
that
the 25s,
from
all of
the
them.
usage and ended up with the amount.
We spent a
So
lot of
each,
time on
these
this, and
are,
that's
took away
the way-
15,000
You can have
from
this.
the usage on, it took the total amount that was pumped, or not pumped, but billed, divided it by the meters, number of meters, gave me a number that basically, that was the total number, but these numbers right here, that was in these numbers, this number right here was individual accounts that basically had how much usage that meter showed, and if it was over than 15,000 gallons, it showed up on this list. That's individual meter. That's an individual meter that basically was over 1,970 gallons. So on the month of January, you had 3 accounts that were over 15,000 gallons out of the 200, and they varied so much on the meters, number of meters in a billing period, that I didn't get into that. I just went by how much the meter, the meter was charged for, and if it was over than 15,000 gallons, it ended up on this list. So the month of February, we had 8 people, March, we had 6, April, we had 7, May, we had 12. Then you get into the big months. In June, we had 33 accounts that were over 15,000 gallons, you know, and July was 54 accounts. August was 58 accounts. But if you look at these accounts, you could see, I mean, some of them are astronomical. I mean, they're 200,000. I mean, there's basically, this is over 15,000 gallons. So for instance, this one's 64, they use basically 86,000 gallons. You know, and we use a lot. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't, but just this one right here, in the month of September, 247,860 gallons over the 15,000 gallons. Do you think we have a problem there? I would say so. We should be able, Ken, to go over there and say, you know, or look
Well,
at
they're
this.
not even living there.
Look at the situation first and see what you can see just by looking from the street. You don't have to make any judgment calls. You just look at it and find out what's going on. And I think if you notify that meter, that you're basically pumping 250,000 gallons over 1 month, something's wrong. And basically, you know, we should have a policy that, you know, we could give them 2 warnings and then we're gonna shut it down. Why can't we do that?
Well,
If they
we
have-
can't shut down people's water because they use too much.
As long as they're paying
If
for
they
it, you
have a
can't shut them
leak,
down.
but if you have a leak,
Well,
right.
If they're paying their bill, you can't
The
shut them down.
state has rules about when we can actually shut somebody's water down, but that's
Okay.
kind of that's superfluous. I get what you're saying, Joe, and we can certainly pursue those high meters more stringently than we do, but I guess I'll just take my mayor hat off for a moment, which I can't, but I don't understand what the objection is to paying for what you use.
because people won't do it.
No.
That's why the town of
No, I'm
Ione
saying-
look like it does, is because they can't afford those conservation fees. So they
Well-
let their places go.
Well, there's, like you say, there hasn't been a significant number of accounts that have gone over.
Oh, there is now. There's proof there. People want to water. People want to clean up their places as far as, trying to make things
Well,
look
if
better. It's
that's the
very
case,
well
then what is the problem with people paying for the water that they use?
Because they don't have the money. They don't have the money, so they don't do it.
If
I mean,
people are paying for the water that they use, and that was the purpose of the tiered system, is that folks in the lower tier, the 0 to 4,000, can pay a little less. They can get a little bit of help. But the people that are using more water, it's a commodity. You pay for the commodity that you use.
Okay, so what's going through my mind right now is, okay, you guys want to just focus on people using water in the summertime, put rates on it. In the wintertime, how many people go over and they're not paying?
We have all that information.
I mean, if you're gonna compare apples and oranges, you got an apple and an apple.
But there's a reason for that, Cindy. The reason is that they want to let the water move.
Because they don't want the pipes froze up.
And the meters to break.
And in the
Yes, I
summertime, we're at high
understand that,
fire
but
danger.
Ken's saying
Well,
it
the
doesn't
meters-
matter
the
no
meters
matter
should-
what.
So
So if
what's,
it's a no matter what situation, then if it don't matter, then it's got the winter
Cindy, I'm not
compared
saying
to summer.
it doesn't matter no matter what, I didn't say that. I didn't say it doesn't matter no matter what. In the winter, like I said, I'll just use my situation here. It's the city's water line that froze, not mine. So if I don't run the water when and last winter I didn't run it at all, I didn't need to, it didn't get cold enough. If I don't do it, the city's gonna be out there digging up the street. Because when it froze before, I had the water next door, had a frost free, I could run a hose over and run it into mine, so I still had water. But without that, the city would have had to go and dig up the street and fix that. There are reasons for that other than just my line didn't freeze. But like I say, and I don't know, I can't tell you if there's any other people that had the same issue when their water froze. If it was theirs, it was the city lines. But that's one of the reasons where in the winter, because it's basically to protect the lines even for the city. Because if a person's lines freeze up, that's gonna work itself back out and out past the meter and bust the meter, whatever. So that's the reason for it. And that was written into the ordinance.
Okay, I get that, I understood that, I've known that forever,
Right.
about the pipes freezing up. I've known that, but if you got somebody that's out there and says, well, Joe Blow over here is running his water constantly and is going over and over, and how much is the town losing on that? That's what I'm trying to get at. You've got some people even in the winter months that don't know how to trickle their water.
Right.
yeah,
So
there's
then
proof there.
we've got all these gallons just going to waste, but we're not looking at that because we have a problem with our lines. We can't get, frost free, but we don't have the money to fix that issue. Do you see where I'm coming from?
No.
You all got blank faces.
No, I do see where you're coming from. And what I see is that there's a selective problem that's in the wintertime with water freezing. But then in the summertime, you also have a selective problem with the town burning up and being at risk of losing it. Just last week, Winthrop was totally evacuated. The whole town was evacuated. So, I don't know what their conditions are over there, but it's like, does the town of Ione really want to take that risk, considering we are considered high fire danger up here all the time? Do we want to take that risk to let our town go back to being brown and dry and people not watering and have a fire come through and lose our town? I mean, there's issues on both sides. And for what I see is that right now, the town is ahead of the game on the water. Maybe we're breaking even. When we started all this process a couple of years ago, it was about the conservation fee, it was about infrastructure, it was about building that infrastructure, so if something happened, because there'd been a well that went down and it was around, the town had to transfer $38,000 out of one account into another account to cover for that well evidently. So then it took it to, well, maybe we should raise the rates a little bit to help build that up some. You know, but then on the other side too was, let's try to improve how our town looks. You know, we don't have a water issue. We're not at risk of going dry. We would like to try to make our area look better. So it was a win-win. It was like the town isn't losing anything. We're maintaining. We want to try to help our residents. I don't care what size your damn yard is. It's like, let's help our people. We're here to serve the town of Ione. It's not a personal thing. It's like, we paid for our water. When we used extra water, we paid for it. So up until the time that this conservation fee went off, we did pay for our water. But the fact is that we live in Ione too. And I don't care if you've got a little yard or if I've got a big yard. I'm looking at selectively overall the whole town of trying to make it look better. And if the decision here is to go back to a conservation fee, I guarantee you people will quit watering. Because I've got emails, I've got documentation in here of what 2024, the town of Ione took in $8,200 in conservation fees. 3,200 of that was residents. The other was the commercial side of it. $3,200. That should tell you right there, people weren't watering. They were just letting things go dry. We included. We didn't water our yard very much either. There was a huge portion of it that just went dead and we lost part of it. So, you know, it's like, you have to look at the big picture. It's like you talk to real estate agents and you have people that are moving in and they say, well, we don't want to live in Ione. Well, why don't you want to live in Ione? Because it looks horrible. So they have sold more places up in Medellin and Medellin Falls because it looks nice up there. It's like there's more to this than just this water, and it's just this free water. It's like it's collectively, it's the whole thing. And if we were in dire straits, I could see it, but we're not.
Okay,
And-
well,
Excuse me, I'm talking.
the question I have is, how do you tell one resident who doesn't use that much water to pay the same amount of water, pay the same amount of money as somebody that uses a lot of water? That's the simple question.
There's things that they could do to use a lot of water. If they want to put in a garden, they could use a lot of water. They choose not to do a garden.
Well,
if they want to have flowers everywhere, they could use a lot of water if they wanted to. They're choosing not to. So you're going to penalize the people that want to grow their own food, that want to have their place look nice?
no, I want the people, as a property owner with 2 meters that I pay for, I want everybody to pay a suitable amount of money for their water. Because I don't think that my property, where I only use 4,000 gallons a month, should have to subsidize somebody that's using 180,000 gallons.
You're not subsidizing. How are you subsidizing?
Because I'm paying the same amount of money as somebody that's using 180,000 gallons.
So how are you paying for that water that I overuse?
Because if that amount of money is what's needed to run the water system, and that, nobody's gonna cut my rate down to $20 a month.
We've already concluded that basically these numbers cancel each other out, at least the workload. All the legwork that I did on that, they cancel each other out. In other words, the water that's saved per meter at 15,000 gallons is basically the money that's saved, or the gallons that are saved there are used in the summertime.
Yeah, I'm never gonna understand where you guys are coming from. I didn't understand 2 years ago when I was sitting out there, and I don't understand now. I don't understand the concept on a commodity, because for the last, 50 years that I've owned a home, I had to pay by the gallon for my water. Every jurisdiction I was at, we paid by the gallon. So I don't understand why somebody that's using less than 4,000 gallons a month should pay the same as somebody who can use an unlimited amount of water. That's the concept that I don't understand. And I totally get, we can write something into the ordinance that, the mayor can, or the conservation fee can be waived if a wildfire emergency is declared or something like that, so people can let the water,
It wouldn't-
run on their houses. It isn't gonna help anyway.
At that
Look at the
rate,
houses in Medical Lake that burned
Well,
up
yeah.
with their beautiful yards.
But if you have a green area, it's not gonna take 24 hours to make it, or if it's brown because we didn't water it, it's gonna take a lot more than 24 hours to get it green, again, to make it a defensible
Having it
space.
green does not make it a dispensable space.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'd much rather live in a house that was green all the way around it than brown, just because all the sparks and everything else that fly.
Yeah, well, I'm just, like I say, I'm,
The thing that gets me is that, let me just say one quick thing here, is that the water, my research determined that the water cancels each other out as far as what the town's out on money. The fire issues there. The other thing that I want to say is the state requires, if we took everything off that, then yes, the state will not allow us to have a grant because of the fact our radar is too small. But there is a way, if we put that policy in there where it's an education program with the parameters stated in that plan, the state will go with it.
That was from Steve.
Steve is the one that told us that. So, I mean, there is a way that we could do it. Personally, I think, we use the high peaks, we probably use 60, let's say 50,000 over. I think we should pay more. But we pay, generally speaking, up till this point, we pay almost, $260, almost $300 more. Because we're paying
Our
such a
bills went up
higher
280,
rate.
285.
Normal rate's 2 cents or 2/10 of a cent, and the conservation fee is 3 tenths of a cent. So we pay a higher rate because we're using more. So not only are we paying the lower rate up to 15,000 gallons, after that, you're penalizing us for using that by charging a second extra rate. The state doesn't have to, you don't have to do that to satisfy the state, that higher rate.
Cindy would like to say something.
Okay.
I
I'll
do
shut
have
up.
a question. So looking at this can, because I didn't have this in my cubby, so, looking at this, so tier 1, you're asking 0 to 4,000 gallons, that they pay $20. So if they go past the 4,000, it's gonna go up another $30?
No, it stays where it is right now. That's $30 right now, that's what it is. It stays
Oh,
at
so
$30.
it doesn't go
Doesn't
up to
change.
50?
Up to there,
You're not
doesn't
gonna
change.
keep adding? Okay,
No,
I just
doesn't
needed to
change.
have that clarified to me.
But see, that doesn't say that in here though, does it?
The rate is 30, which is what $30 is now, it just stays the
30.
same.
Yeah, see above it, it says base rate.
Yeah, it's the same, it doesn't change.
So it cost us .0033 per gallon of usage.
That's what it
That's our
costs to
cost?
produce the water, that's our cost of producing the water. I went and got the figures from Sandy and figured it for the amount of water that comes out of there, and what our expense is for producing the water, that's what our cost is.
Which is about $1,000 a month. If you average it out, it was a little over $12,000 a year for the chemicals.
So this, talking about option C, Cindy, that basically, I could see this, but what I object with it is that above 20,000 gallons, you have to get charged .0033 per gallon,
Right.
per gallon.
Which is cost, that's what it costs to produce it.
We're paying right now .002 cents a gallon. That's what.
It's .0033. Yeah,
Here's the question, Sandy, what is
I
the
stand corrected
electric or the water bill?
and
the
that's what
basic-
that was all based on.
Basic
is that.
tiered water bill? Was it $30-some dollars?
You pay 30 for base and you pay 30 for usage. And if you go over 15,000 gallons, you pay that extra .0033 cents per gallon.
So it's $60 a month, pretty basically for your water,
Right.
or if you don't go over.
Right.
So that,
So-
so that 15,000 gallons that we're allowed, what rate is that?
$30. Up to 15,000,
Right.
it's just $30.
$30, so it doesn't, you don't get a rate for those 15,000
Right.
individual gallons, okay,
Right.
okay.
And that's I understand, Joe. Lots of
Okay,
people-
well, I took a little step further and showed, or divided the amount of 15,000 into the bill, and it works out to about 2 cents a gallon. So anyway, that's.
So in other words,
So my
this,
usage comes to about $6.60 a month. Can I get reimbursed it?
well, with this tier one though, I mean, right now, we're getting 15,000 gallons for $30. Well, you're decreasing, that's being decreased then. You're saying
That's
between
right.
4 and 8, it's
For the people.
$30.
For the people that use less than 4,000, yes, I said, let's reduce it for those people that don't use much water.
And penalize the people that do.
Well, pay for what you use, for what you get. It's commodity, it's
Well,
something
people
there,
won't do it,
it costs us to produce it.
and the town will turn to crap again.
You know, it's
Well, I
funny
think
though,
we
but
definitely
I've lived on
need to
8
have
Avenue, not as long as you have, Paula, but for just
I've
about
lived on
50
it
years
for
now.
58 years.
And I don't ever remember the lawns down there being brown,
Well,
except
you
mine.
didn't look then, you should have got
Except
your
mine.
eyes checked.
Because I like mine brown, because I wouldn't have to mow it then.
I thought your grass is kept green.
It is now.
Well, the rain,
Well, that's right, and in the past, it's been, I've let mine go brown because I don't like to mow it. My personal choice, I don't choose to water. And I don't choose to pay for somebody else to water. Anyway, as far as I'm concerned, this is not, wherever it's gonna go, we can move on to something else. You can table this for now and let Cindy look and see what she thinks about all this stuff, and get information, so she can make a decision.
Can I ask one question on it? Is this option B, the original, everything original in the ordinance that we had in place prior to the conservation fees being taken off?
Yes.
Yeah, the option B is exactly like option A, only it shows the strikeout of the surcharge rate in red. This is basically what took place last May, is that was struck out. The ordinance wasn't modified, but that was the effect of the motion. So that's why those two look exactly the same. Option C is the tiered one, which was completely new.
What was the increase for Chippewa? Did they send it in relation to that? You haven't done that yet?
Well, with that being said, if there's no one ready to put forth a motion, or if there's no consensus on which one to go with, then I'd say, as Ken said, we move on. Potentially, we could be in, special meeting territory, call a special meeting. We could have a work session between now and the next board meeting, and work specifically on the water, with the idea that by the July 15th meeting, we're ready to act on something.
I agree with that, because I think, about the only thing I'd go with right now is option B, which is really taking that off. But I do agree that if we use 50,000 gallons over, I think we should pay for something, but I don't think we should pay this astronomical amount. That's what I don't see. So if you, I haven't ran the numbers on tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, but to see where that is for how much the town lose from not having that. My guess would be that it would be okay, because we're okay with even the overage. So basically, I think if I would be, what's that?
How does Menlo Falls have green grass?
Our water is managed by the PUD. We pay,
And what do you pay for that?
yes, so ours is 10,000 gallons, not 15,000. And we pay a base rate, it's in the 40s. We pay base rate, we get the first 10,000, and then after that, the next 5,000 is a certain rate. When you go like above that, then they do it in 10,000 increments, and you pay essentially so much per gallon in those ranges. So we're paying for what you use. There's a base rate initially, and I think originally, I think the reason you have $30, we have $40, that is everything to pay for your water system. You think about the pipes in the ground, the storage tank, the pumps, the wells, all of that. Somebody said, look, it costs us $6 million to build a water system. It's gonna take us, 20 years to pay off $6 million with 270 households or 110 households. And they calculated it out and came up with that $40. I think the bigger issue is that you have to have a plan. Again, just like your street plan, you gotta have a water plan to apply for grants.
Yep.
You've gotta have some sort of capital reserve, because when these systems break, it's not $10,000 to fix it. It's in the millions of dollars. Our sewer line slid off over the hill, and it's costing us $1 million to fix it. There are no $10,000 fixes unless it's a household leak.
Right.
And, you're calling in Z&Z, and thank goodness they don't charge that kind of money, but it's a little mini excavator and you're just replacing a piece of pipe,
Was that more expensive just because of the river right there and it was running into the river?
The sewer line breaking?
Yeah.
No, I think it had more to do with, that was a lift station right there. All the towns up above, all the town's sewer runs to this collection point, and then it has to be picked up, so it will run gravity all the way down the riverbank until it gets to the bridge at the other end. So there's two sets of pumps there, so when one fails, the other can work, and you don't have a situation. But I think the biggest thing is, I think if you aren't making enough money off your water system, it won't pay for itself when you have to do major repairs. Once you have a decent amount in a capital fund, then maybe you can roll back either increases or taxes that increase there, and go with, hey, now that we have $1 million in the backup fund, we don't have to raise the rates as high every year. That'd be council beyond you guys, I'd imagine. But you should have a healthy amount, from what I'm learning in city council, that you have to be able to take care of the repairs yourself. It's great if we can get Commerce, or if we can get Department of Ecology to come help, Department of Health will come help you with water kind of thing, but if they don't.
It's not always the case.
Yeah, and when you borrow money, you're paying interest. I mean, I think our interest rate's 0.2%,
Right,
which is
it's
next
low.
to
It's
nothing.
very low.
But it's still, that's money the town's losing. You guys have an opportunity to make money on your water system to a degree, and you're right, you have an obligation to provide for the town.
Yes, you do.
The town council has to provide that water, one way or another. You have the luxury that you have Chippewa over there and they want your water. So that's where I think, you have some room to make some ground, but, I think everybody understands the idea of paying for what they're using. You just have to come up with a system. I see sometimes you guys are arguing about the same thing, it sounds like.
Yeah.
I think you all want the best for the town, the best for the townspeople. You're not wrong, Paula, to want green lawns.
It's
That's
not-
not a wrong thing.
That's not the object is green laws. The object is to keep our place as protected as we can.
Sure,
Because
sure,
our whole property is not green.
sure. The amount of protection, the green, you know, when the grass is this tall, it takes a light breeze, and green or not, it just dries out.
Right.
It's not thick enough, or it's plenty thin so that a little rain also moistens it all up. You could throw a sprinkler on it and now it's defensible.
Or you have a
think
squirrel that dies and falls into the yard and catches it on fire behind you.
Correct. I think that that's pretty negligible as far as what the grass is gonna provide. When you talk about defensible space, that's really removing the big trees or the stuff that can burn.
Well, it's
You're
definitely-
always gonna have hot ash, and that is what's going to make these towns struggle, is the wildfire that brings big fire coming down off the mountains.
Yep.
But it's nothing we're gonna control. We're surrounded by national forest and DNR, and those guys don't do anything with their land. So, I don't think that's something we can do a lot. You know, we can do what we can to make our places
Right.
in town defensible. You know, the fire district's gonna do everything we can, call for all the resources we can, and we'll protect as many places as we can. But as we see now, even in the middle of Spokane, which is a big city, right? 500 homes are threatened, and a portion of homes burned. We can do a lot for some of that stuff. I think that,
We just gotta find a compromise.
yeah, I think you just have to kind of find a compromise.
I think,
Maybe give yourself, say, hey, look, let's try the plan for 2 years, 3 years, because we don't know what the weather will do, and let's reevaluate it. And that's part of what we do as a council. You'll come back and visit this again. But I think to Dan's credit, he's saying, look, this literally has been talked about for years. We could have started one of these, pick one, doesn't even matter, put them all in a hat and draw one. We could have started this, we'd have 3 years of data now to go, hey, this is working, or this is not working.
Right.
And every meeting you put it off, you're not gaining anything. So I do think that, you know, there's nothing wrong with wanting the numbers, there's nothing wrong with wanting to make good decisions. I think everybody has opinions on why they want it to be a way or not a way. But I do think you're right to want to make a decision and kind of move ahead with it.
well, Blake, to talk just a little bit on it, I know we've been beating this thing quite a bit, but, and I appreciate your input. The water system, the way it was, as far as negotiations and everything else, was going really well. But there was one council person that wanted, and we all agreed that we wanted to have TDH do a survey on our water system to see what it is. Well, it turns out it wasn't gonna be 5,000, it was gonna be 7,000, so we.
17,000.
17,000. So that kind of shelved that, because I think we could do all like this. The plan that they enacted, I wasn't there at the time, but now the one that they enacted was basically, there's still a discrepancy of whether it's supposed to end at 2025 or not, you know, and that's here nor there. But, you know, so we did have a plan working, but something came up, so, you know, I think we're making headway. I see something that I can do here to maybe come up with an agreeable for paying for that extra water that we're using. I wouldn't call it free water, never will, but.
I think if you guys, I think you're all in agreement. The system has to be self-supportive, right? Everybody can agree across the table. Like, the water system has to pay for itself. And I think the ladies in the office can come up with numbers to say, this is what it cost you last year for the water system.
Right.
Or this is the last 5 years, you know. I think with the idea that everybody wants the water system to be supportive, then you have to pick a number and say, this is what we want each year. Maybe it's $10,000 goes towards capital projects. Over time, that'll amount to something. You don't fix the system every year. So, you know, whatever that number is you choose, you'll add that on top of whatever the rate you're charging. And then you know what it costs you to produce a gallon of water. So that 003 becomes, you know, does that original $30 cover those three things. Covers the current system running, operating, a little bit of capital outlay, and pay for the water as you produce it, so that you're not going backwards. And I think you're all in agreement there, so then you just get down to the last of it. You know, is there more that we should charge people if they go over? If they're under, that's not really negotiable, honestly. Even though you only use 4,000, you're paying for the same pump system, you're paying for the same filters, you're paying for the same capital outlay. So that original number, that just might be where you could say, hey, look, if you use less than 4,000, we won't add anything to that. If you know, whatever you decide.
But I think the numbers that are generated right here, I could take this tier system and implement it into here and see what kind of numbers for, this would be 25, which did not have any conservation fees. And we could look at those numbers and then come up with maybe continue that tier system all the way up to 100,000 gallons.
You can do that if you want, but.
That may be something more that we'd still be paying, you know, probably double what we pay for the base rate and usage rate, but still, it's not astronomical. So that's all.
I do think Ken's on to the idea that how do you motivate somebody to fix their you know, if they have broken pipes on their side, because you are the provider, because you are a town. Yes, there are state rules that you're not just gonna shut someone's water off, but somewhere in there, maybe you break above 100,000 and there is some astronomical charge. Because obviously, it's gotta be more painful to leave it alone than it is to fix it for some people. They won't be motivated until you hit them in the pocketbook. But you can put that up there somewhere where most people would never come near it. You'll figure out what that number is based on your usages. Yeah. But even, you know, you look at yourselves having 2 lots, being up there and wanting the water, and knowing that you've never come near 100,000 gallons, right? Like if a residence is using 100,000 gallons, you know, it should be the first month you get a letter, the second month you get a phone call, and the third month now starts this charge, because you're wasting the resource. Not even do whatever you want. I guess they want to pay it, but what you guys really want to do is keep the water usage or the wear and tear on the system at a minimum.
Right.
Because that's what's best for the community as a whole. And that is who you're trying to represent. You're representing the 4,000 gallon guy and the 50, 60,000 gallon guy.
Right, exactly.
But that infrastructure is yours to kind of nurse and take care of. And so I do think if somebody's abusing it, and abuse is somewhere up there, there's nothing wrong with you guys coming in and saying,
Absolutely
hey,
not, no.
this
And we
is
should.
out of hand.
We
Yeah.
should, we have an
Yeah.
obligation to do that.
I think that's what I heard from you, Ken, is you were saying, listen, some people are gonna use a bunch of water, and that's not the big deal. The big deal is when they know they're abusing the system, and they don't care because it doesn't hurt them. And so I think the middle ground there might be, put a fee on it when you get into the abuse zone here. And again, the first month, maybe they didn't know the line's broken, or they don't know that toilet's running, because you wouldn't believe it, but a toilet could use 100,000 in a month, and they're not gonna know until they get the bill. They get the bill and go, oh, what's going on? And when you say, hey, we've seen this in the past, if you'll let us, we'll send the guys out, and they can check the lines, you can check your toilets, you check your sinks, but maybe you have something going on your property you don't know about.
Right.
But if they choose to ignore it for a couple months, then you hit them with the big bills.
I think most people would be willing, to shut all their water off and go out and look at the meter and see if the meter's still running.
Absolutely.
Because if it is, then it's a
Most
leak.
people, right?
Yeah.
I think Ken's just talking about the extreme.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 1 or 2 people once in a while. But again, if the maintenance guys came and told you used 240,000 gallons last month, and the average guy over here is using 15,
Yeah.
and then you go, yeah, that's fine. What? No, it's
not-
like,
yeah.
you
Well, and
can't
I think
comprehend.
it all depends too on how you're approached.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It's approach, it's how you're treated.
Well, and I think that's why, when you write your policy or whatever, if it's a letter the first time, maybe they don't get it or whatever, maybe it's a phone call, behind the letter, a week behind the letter. You don't have to stretch it out over 3 months. You can do it all in 3 weeks.
Well, I don't
But-
see the town running in here complaining about the 15,000 they're paying for. I'm really disappointed that the town is not more
Yeah.
coming and more speaking
Did
up.
the town even really know this was gonna be this?
I didn't know this was going on.
So,
You may consider, I will tell you, one of the things we've done successfully, I think, or at least it has brought people into some of our meetings, is going out of our way to put stuff in Sonia's paper. It's fairly inexpensive,
let
and
people
even if you
know.
just got 2 more people in here to give you opinions,
Yeah.
is it worth $15 for the month? Whatever it is.
Oh, I think it
So-
is to get there.
Yeah, right, and I'm not trying to put pressure on Dan, any one of you could write that article, right? You write it, give it to Sonia, and just ask her, say, Sonia, help me correct my language, maybe I'm not the most fluent in my English or whatever,
AI.
Yeah, AI will clean it up for you too, for nothing, but I think if you invite people, hey, we're gonna discuss this, we want your input. If you guys don't come, we just have to make a decision.
Yeah, you gotta let.
All the towns are pretty apathetic, right? Why do we run unopposed for positions? Why is Ken's position just sitting there empty? We've got an empty position in our town. You put out for letters of interest, at least some people show up, even if they're not willing to serve on the council. You've got some regulars that'll show up to your meetings, and I would say all 3 towns have them, because
We're too new.
So
you're not.
so I think where we were,
There's an ordinance in here.
Oh, okay.
so I think where we were at was, and to your point, the idea was to have a public hearing and when we have a public hearing, we post the ordinance
Yep.
so people can see what's coming. But if we're not ready to do something on this tonight, and if we want to perhaps consider additional tiers or anything like that, I would suggest that we move on the subject tonight and wrap up the rest of our items. And certainly, when we drafted this up, I'm sure Ken's thinking was, we started out with 4 tiers because that took to the 20,000 level, and we were
Many
also,
tiers as anybody wants.
we were
Yeah.
also looking at the way the tiers are broken in the system reporting.
Right, that's why I did with those
So
numbers.
so that would be, when you look at the system report, it breaks it down into blocks,
Right,
and it would be best to stay with that, but we will move on.
Can I ask a question?
no,
Certainly.
which one of us gets our?
You're talking about somebody who used 240,000 gallons in a month, right?
Right.
That's a lot of excessive wear and tear on the pumps and whatnot.
That makes me.
And if I'm not wrong, all of us in the city kind of own those pumps and everything. So yeah, I think we should be able to go tell somebody, hey, you're abusing my equipment.
It should be done tactfully, but yeah, I think we can address that problem. I don't think you have to, you don't even have to point the finger at them, just say,
No.
this is
Okay.
what's happening, so.
Okay, next item of business is our, the STIP that we had the public hearing on here earlier. We have a draft resolution 2026-5, where, was there a copy of this in your packets?
No, because I couldn't find it on the computer. I had to retype
Okay.
it at 6:15.
So basically, the resolution 2026-5 states as follows: whereas the council of the town of Ione, Washington has duly heard the annual report from the street commissioner, and whereas the said report has recommended the adoption by the town of the 6-year street program as modified, and whereas the council has determined the report to be in order and acceptable in all respects, And now therefore be, and it is hereby resolved by the council of the town of Ione that the 6-year street program, as reported by the street commissioner at the council meeting of July 1st, 2026, is hereby in all respects approved, ratified, and adopted, a copy of which program is hereby attached and made a part thereof. And I would entertain a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion?
I'll the second or two first. Ken?
Did you get that, Sandy?
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Staff reports. Sandy, do you have anything that you want to bring up?
I have something on the water.
Oh, no.
Are you sure you do?
No. I tried to get most of it done today, but with the $6,000 day and training, I couldn't get it done. But I will have something for Cindy that will show you what tier 1 does, tier 2 versus what we have now. Black and white, it should be real easy to use. I'll try to get that done and get it all sent to you guys. Thank you, I'm more of a visual. Yeah, me too, so.
Is that it?
That's it.
Thank you, Sandy.
Uh-huh.
Joe?
A couple things real quick, I won't keep going, but the First Street project, I was talking with Steve, and the bid process will go public next Monday, and they've got 3 weeks for that period to close. So in that time, bids will come in and everything, and hopefully by a month from this Monday, we'll have who the contractor is going to be and be able to proceed forward. So that's the First Street project. The second one is the stop signs. We've put out kind of fingers on this, and I'm going to pursue the stop signs on First and Main, and also Smack Out and 8th. Those 2 locations, a 4-way stop. What I'm doing is I'm going to pursue it and find out what we can and can't do, because be honest with you, I don't know. But I'm going to start that up and that project and see what I can come up with. But
Joe, question for you on the thing. Has that been put out for bid for the contractor, for a contract?
that's what it's going for right now.
Okay.
This kind of, he's got it all together, Steve's got it all together, it's going out for all of them. I said, well, do you send them out, as a contractor, basically, like Modern Drywall, they used to receive all these bids coming in for commercial work.
Right.
And he says that a lot of it comes from the local people that are on their work schedule, their work
Roster.
contractor list. You can see I'm struggling with her.
No, I was smiling at her. She
Oh.
was like, this is so much
She's
fun.
what, you're smiling, I'm struggling.
I was just curious if it gone for bids or not.
Yeah, Monday morning, he said he should have it out.
Okay. good.
And I'm gonna call him Wednesday and just to verify it has gone out and where is it going out. It's gonna start with the minor, and then it's gonna go out to all those contractors that do commercial work. So, yeah, it's going out Monday.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, and so the stop signs, like I said, those 2 locations I'm gonna work on, find out the legalities of them, and pursue those 2 locations. That should do it for me.
Thank you, Joe.
Welcome.
Yeah, I think the First and Main one is an easy one, because I'm not sure that the main west of or east of the highway is necessarily an arterial, but where it's an arterial on 8th, that'll be the one that, I know that I've read the code on that.
Yeah, and I
sign code before.
I haven't read anything, so
And
that's one of the things I'd like to pursue. Since I'm gonna be looking into that information, that's because we've talked about the problem up at 8th Avenue, and I think this would be a good resolution if we can do it easily.
Roger. Paula?
We came down over the weekend and did some more work on the ICC building. Joe got the new exit signs put up. There's a couple that are problems, again, and it had to do with structure, how they built the building and how they cut the holes. So, to put these new exit signs up, the holes are bigger, so we figured for the one out here, we're just gonna add another piece of oak, and like we did the lights, so that one will be easy, but the other two have to do with the ceiling. So Joe said he's gonna try to come up with a way to still make those exit signs look nice.
What they did was when they built the building, in general, if it's an outlet for a electrical device, use a round box. They use square on everything. So it's fine when it's being covered up by a big exit or a big light, but when you try to get, the newer ones have little templates, and it doesn't cover that square box, a double gang box hole. So that's where the problem in some of them are. So, and that's true on the one in the hallway, the ceiling there, it's got a big hole. So the cover the new cover, it basically won't cover all that, so.
We'll come up with a plan.
But they're starting to work. I mean, these are the new ones, and
these
they
look nice.
basically, if the lights go out, they will be on, guaranteed. Because now we
the
can
other
test
ones
them,
didn't.
they show that the power's going to it, and we can get up there and test each individual one if we wanted to, so.
And then the other thing that Joe and I did last week was we went online and, for the TIB meeting that they have once a month.
Oh, yeah.
And just kind of checked in with them and really there was nothing to it. Nothing really came out of it, but at least they had the representation of Ione on there, which I heard one guy say, I haven't heard from them in a while. I was like, your microphone's on. But, so we're just plugging along on the work that needs to be done on the building. We'll eventually get it done. That's it.
Thank you. Cindy?
I don't have much. I had Roger replace the flag yesterday down at the park. He says they normally do it right before Downriver Days, but I feel right before 4th of July is more appropriate to make sure your flag's flying good.
Especially this year.
Yeah, the 250th.
Yeah.
Hopefully me and Dan will go get them rocks in the morning.
Or at least I'll know where to put them. I'm still trying to get a tree off of my
Oh,
shop.
that's right.
with my
At some point,
excavator.
we will get that done before Downriver Days.
I'm hoping to get down there this week before the 4th of July and definitely before Downriver Days, because those rocks need to get moved.
Yeah, I don't have a VA on Friday, so I'll be here pretty much all
Well,
week.
if we
If you
can-
get any time, just.
If we can at least identify where they're supposed to go, that, I can go down there and do that.
Okay. Not much of anything else. Sorry.
You're good.
Well, I know there's things I gotta get done. Now I've got plenty of time, so I will get all those things done.
So we had an issue with a garbage dumper down there a couple weekends ago, and it's about the third weekend in a row. And I had a citizen give me video and pictures of the people that did it, and then I got with Deputy Adam, and he ran the plate on the truck, and it turns out that it's an expired plate owned by somebody in Husk, and it's kind of one of those things, we're just about gonna have to catch him in the act, and so I went down and hauled the garbage away, but it seems to be a Sunday afternoon thing when the weather's good.
So
Dan?
Can you explain to me the garbage, how that works down at the
Yes.
park? Do we have a dumpster
What?
down there?
Is it a black truck?
No,
Just the garbage cans?
it's a white GMC with a utility bed.
There's no dumpster down there?
Pardon?
It was
There's
garbage.
no dumpster down in the park?
No,
It was just the garbage cans.
garbage cans.
Yeah, just the garbage.
Yeah, God forbid we want a dumpster down there, it would need a hellacious lock on it.
It'd be full every day.
Well, no, you have to post a sign that it's not there for personal garbage, just little garbage.
Yeah,
Because they,
won't help.
There's those people down there that don't care if it says that or not.
I know, they empty their
It's
campers.
the same thing that happens at the car wash.
Yeah, yeah. They have that problem at Tiger Store.
Ken,
I got nothing more.
okay? I'll make it as quick as possible, and I'll start off with the airport. Last week, we had a progress report on the airport. If you've been out there, it's a lot of excavation done. They're pretty close to pouring concrete, and then it was reported in the status meeting that the concrete spec did not pass, and so it's very critical that that all be done properly. And with the weather that was coming in, basically the contractor had finished everything he could do, and they went into a pause. The new electrical was installed for the helipad. They ran a new wire over there, installed a new power box over there on our lighting pole. But essentially, they're in a pause till probably after the 4th of July holiday. So that's what's going on there. We had, I am working pretty hard to see what sort of revenue can be generated up there outside of our hangars. And the other night, I got a call from DNR Aviation. They were looking for emergency places to put their firefighting helicopters down if they got in trouble with the lightning storms that were in the area. So I was able to make a contact with one of their operations people, and now I have the phone numbers and names of the people who contract airports. They have a contract with Chihuahua, and maybe we can steal a contract away from them. We'll see.
Dan, can I ask you a question? So that big hole, that they had to go that deep?
Yeah,
I thought they were putting in a swimming pool.
the grade of the helipad has to be different than the runway.
Oh,
And there's, a parking area associated with it, and that grade, and 2 infiltration pits for the stormwater. So,
okay, that makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was hard to picture what it was gonna look like. And there's some backfill to happen, but. Another thing on the airport was, you may remember last year, Mike and Sharon talking about an aegis or obstruction survey. And the council put $2,000 in the budget to pay our cost share for this obstruction survey or aegis survey. And then this spring, the quote for the aegis survey went from $80,000, it doubled to $160,000, and which meant our cost share would double to about $4,000. And plus, I raised a little hell with Ardura, because I was concerned why, because, in the tugboat world, if you contract for something and it comes back double a few months later, there's questions to be asked. And so we asked some questions, and ultimately, then the DNR, or not DNR, but WashDOT Aviation declined their grant, so there went another $5,000 of support. So pretty soon we were sitting there with $8,800 that we were going to be expected to continue the project on somewhat of a schedule. So I talked to Ardura and I said, look, it's not in our budget. We really don't. And again, this is not something that we spend the money on and then we see something at the airport. It's a survey. So then I told them, well, let's see if we can push it to 2027 as far as the funding part of it goes. And I got a call from FAA that basically said, if we push it to 2027, we stand to lose like $33,000 of funding for it. And, there was all this other stuff intertwined in it. So I turned around and reached out to the county, those .09 grants that I spoke about before, for economic development. They're specific for economic development. And that airport has the potential of being an economic engine for the area. So subsequently, I submitted a grant request to fund that $8,800 for the aegis survey. Jessica at the Economic Development Office is going to fast track it because we have to have word back to FAA by August 14th if we're going to have the money to continue. So if the county approves the grant, then we can continue that project. And the reason the Aegis survey is important is because a lot of the things in our airport plan beyond 2027 require having this Aegis survey. So it won't probably make any difference while any of us are on the council or mayor, but it certainly would kind of be unfair to my predecessor to stall it out at this point and leave him basically starting over. So that's why I'm trying to pursue that.
Recording
and
stopped.
Save us some money. On the vehicles were bid on, and we're in the process of selling those. There was one bidder, and he paid more than what the low bid was, and so that money will go into the vehicle fund as far as I know.
Yeah.
The highway sign, Roger and I did some investigating on the electrical. I did need to adjust the plan for the sign slightly. On the pitch of the LED screen, it's technical stuff so that we could use the available power that's there and not have to run 240 volts. We can run 120. But basically, we're in the final stages of having that quote finished up and getting the sign ordered. I'm anticipating having the sign here in September. And that's really about all I got. And the second public comment period will open at 8:38. And
Anything to talk about? Okay, I do, of course. I would like to see the council spend a little bit of money on some microphones.
So what?
It is very hard to hear you guys. If one person down here rattles the paper, while someone up here is talking, you can't hear. Some of us like to talk and do this while we're talking. And you can't hear through your fingers. It is very hard to hear back here.
okay,
I mean, you don't have to have one on each of you, but one at each end, and take, 4 of them should work. Just to kind of pick you up a little bit. That thing's a lot louder than any of you.
We could move you closer.
I'm gonna start going to Paul's house on Thursday morning to find out what's going on.
On Thursday morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Because you can't hear.
I can't hear, so I'm gonna go to Paul's house to find out what's going on.
Copy of the deck.
anything else, Anita?
There was, but it's gone by.
Okay. Public comment closed at 8:40. And one of the things that I missed there is our webpage should be live next week. And if I don't crash the computer doing it, there's what the front page looks like right now.
Nice.
It's really simple, and unfortunately, all I had was winter pictures.
I was gonna say, where's summer at, Dan?
Well,
We've had enough winter.
yeah. So when I sent her the pictures to get the ball rolling, I had winter pictures, but McKenna is our new IT genius in the office. And so next week, on Tuesday the 7th, we have a training session with our vendor. Once that's done, I think we're gonna feel comfortable with going live. But one of the things that's kind of cool about it is, for instance, Anita will love this, report a concern. And then there's a form here where you can fill it out.
Now, will that just go to you, or will that go to everybody?
We can program it to go to whoever. So if it's a street concern, we can program it as a street concern, then it goes to the street commissioner and the mayor, et cetera, et cetera. So,
That would be wonderful.
and another thing that I think is gonna be very helpful is right here, subscribe to notifications is residents will be able to subscribe to receive notification when things change or come up. So when McKenna posts the agenda minutes or whatever for a meeting, if you have subscribed and checked the box that you want to receive those, you'll get notified that they're on there.
What's the subscription gonna cost?
Nothing.
It's just automatically.
Okay.
So that's kind of a neat feature. And then, the last thing, last but not least here is, when we scroll down, we have news and announcements, and then we also have this calendar. And this is where we'll be able to post, like right now, it's just these council meetings, and unfortunately, it had me befuddled today. That's why I figured we needed a little more training, or I just need to let go of it and have McKenna do it. But anyway, this is, like I say, I think it's pretty bare bones if you look at it, but the bottom line is that the intention is it's expandable, and,
So will the plan be that it's something needs to be put on the calendar, we just tell me McKenna? How do you say your name, Glenn?
McKenna.
McKenna. I won't forget your face, so I'm gonna mess your name
Somebody-
up a couple times.
it looks like the Selkirk Sun has raised their hand.
Oh, yep. I
Probably
see
at
it.
the transmission stopped.
No, it looks like,
It just quit recording earlier, it's still
Oh.
transmitting.
Oh, I see.
She's still on there with us.
yeah, I
It's
don't
just
know,
not recording.
but anyway. So that, on the website was the,
Are you gonna take payments online then, for the sewer and the water and such?
that's,
I saw it, said bill payment.
yeah, it's actually a separate service that'll be accessed through the website for the water sewer bills and potentially for other things.
Good.
We're kind of moving deliberately, especially with the current cyber situation. It's really ugly out there, so
Sure.
too many opportunities for that.
Are we charging more of a fee to pay your bill online?
There is a small convenience fee to pay your bill online. But Sandy, I don't know if you want to talk about it. You've had quite a bit of interest in being able to pay it.
Yeah, we had brought it to council a while ago. It's gonna be, next bill pay. They are, associated with our VS system, which is our water and sewer. So customers will be able to pay their bill, look at their account, look at their history, look at all sorts of stuff. They can have emails sent as a reminder for your bill is due. They can set up auto pay. It is going to be about $2.95 per month. And as long as we get enough customers that makes next bill pay $100 a month, then there's no fee to the town. If we don't, which we might not right at first, we'll have to pay that difference.
Right.
And then the initial setup and the software is $695.
That's a good idea, that's good. I think it's well.
So do we have will this have the ability to record the actual meeting minutes, council meeting minutes? Is that gonna be an option that this does?
The web?
Yeah,
No, this
Haven't
is
been
actually transcribing it right now.
so there will be a record of what was said at the council meeting on this location?
On the webpage,
Yeah, or just to actually
we can
indicate.
post the minutes, and we can also take where, the Selkirk Sun puts it on YouTube, and we can actually, put that YouTube link.
Do we save those minutes?
You mean those live recordings?
Yeah,
The transcripts?
yeah.
I haven't messed with it too much. We only started using the transcript feature at the last meeting.
It'd be nice, just an idea, it'd be nice if we could have those meetings, be able to put on a flash drive or put somewhere that if we wanted 8 months from now, look back at this particular meeting, we have the ability to do that.
Yeah, and I've been a little cautious proceeding so far because everything that gets generated by it is subject to the Public Records Act. So if somebody calls us up and wants it, I can't just tell them, I don't know how to do that. So I have to actually know where, we have to have a filing system for it, and Miss McKenna has got that sort of skills with that stuff that I think she's gonna be able to improve that.
And I wasn't thinking so much to put it online for the public to look at, but mainly for our benefit as a council, to look back on prior meetings.
Yeah, it'll make, I'm sure McKenna will use these features for transcribing minutes and stuff, because,
Especially if they're locked away somewhere in our safe or somewhere in there that if we wanted to, for instance, the issue with the 2025, whether it was said or not, we should, if we had those kind of records, we would be able to look back on those meetings and see exactly what was said.
yeah, conceivably, as long as AI writes it down the right way.
But I mean, at least we'd have something, especially nowadays, everybody wants to sue everybody for everybody else, or everything else. It'd be nice to
Your
have,
protection.
right.
Yeah, it's, like I say, the Public Records Act and the Open Meetings Act, basically, the meetings are open to the public. That's why I'm really not too worried if they want to record it, or they want YouTube or whatever, because it's all subject to OPMA anyway. But the important thing is those things that are generated from it. That's why even with the politicians, we can't even really hand them a piece of paper anymore, because it suddenly becomes a public record.
Right.
So I don't know how to unmute.
We can't help.
I mean,
There's a hand floating up, there's a couple hands up.
click on which?
Yeah, we'll trade places. I can't
And
help
hearts
it. She
beating.
clapped in my
There's a heart.
I think you don't want it.
It looks like they're unmuted.
Oh, yeah, there's someone, look
Somebody
at,
came in
there's,
and asked a question the other day,
Right,
and Donna
right,
called
party.
people.
someone's listening
She's
to
on the
me.
computer right away, telling us happy 5 seconds. It's,
Yeah.
I think it's 40-year difference in age that.
Those are unmuted.
We just all wait to it.
Are you guys muted yourself on your end?
Yeah, I'm assuming they want to talk, but I can't see where I'm got
They
anything
usually type in the
restricted there.
chat section and they have a question.
Oh, yes.
Hold it for 5 minutes.
I just lowered their hand.
Okay, well, go ahead. Go ahead.
do that email address again? Your Selkirk Sun? No, you're fine. Your Selkirk Sun what? Okay.
Cool. Thank you. Right.
Thank you, Sonia.
Sonia.
All right,
Is it Sonia or Sonia? Sonia? There's these ones.
if there is no request for executive session, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Then moved and seconded. Sounds like we can adjourn by unanimous consent, so thank
Well, at
you.
least we're all still talking.
That's a plus, yeah.
I mean, we could argue and still like